You have done it 1,000 times without thinking about it. You light a candle, or you strike a match, or you turn a stove dial, and a small flame appears in front of you. And for just a second before you go back to whatever you were doing, you stare at it. Everyone does. You cannot help it. Nobody can. That pull you feel toward a flame is not aesthetic. It is not habit. It is something far older than either of those things, and understanding where it comes from will change how you see almost everything about what it means to be human. Because fire did not just keep ancient humans warm. It did something to the structure of the human brain that no other discovery in the entire history of our species has come close to replicating. And the story of what actually happened around those early fires is one of the most important stories nobody ever told you. Let's go back approximately 400,000 years. Your ancestor is not sitting in a cave drawing on walls. That comes later. Right now, they are doing something far more radical. They are sitting still after dark. For every other animal on Earth, nightfall means one of two things: hunt or hide. But around a fire, your ancestor could do neither, and did not need to. The fire held predators at a distance of roughly 30 feet. Inside that circle of light, something completely new became possible. Time that had never existed before suddenly existed. Unstructured, undemanding, socially connected time, and the human brain had absolutely no template for what to do with it. What happened next is where the story gets strange. Anthropologist Polly Wisner spent decades studying the Kungsan people of the Kalahari, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer societies on Earth. She recorded thousands of hours of their conversations and then did something simple but devastating. She separated the daytime conversations from the nighttime conversations and compared them. During the day, people talked about food, tools, complaints, practical logistics. The content was almost entirely transactional. But around the fire at night, something shifted completely. 80% of nighttime conversation was stories. Not instructions, not warnings. Stories about people who were not present, about events that had already happened or might happen, about beings that did not exist at all. In other words, around the fire, humans invented fiction. And fiction is not entertainment. Fiction is a cognitive technology. When you hear a story about a person you have never met facing a problem you have never encountered, your brain does not file it under imagination. It runs a simulation. It places you inside the experience. It extracts the lesson without requiring you to survive the event itself. Before fire, the only way to learn that a certain cliff was dangerous was to watch someone fall from it. After fire, someone could describe the falling, and the lesson transferred anyway. This is the mechanism behind every novel, every film, every warning your parents ever gave you. It all traces back to a circle of people sitting in the dark around a flame they did not fully understand. But the story does not stop there. Because fire did not just change what humans communicated, it changed what humans could eat. And changing what humans could eat changed the size of the human brain. Here is the problem with raw food that nobody talks about. Chewing it takes an enormous amount of time. Chimpanzees, our closest genetic relatives, spend approximately 6 hours every single day just chewing. 6 hours of every day consumed by the mechanical act of processing food before it can be swallowed. That is 6 hours not spent doing anything else, not exploring, not socializing, not solving problems. Cooking collapsed that time. Cooked food is softer. It requires less jaw muscle to process. It delivers more calories per bite, and the energy that had been allocated to digestion was suddenly freed up to go somewhere else. That somewhere else was the brain. The human brain is the most metabolically expensive organ in the known animal kingdom. It consumes roughly 20% of your total caloric intake while making up only 2% of your body weight. Running a brain that size on raw food is nearly impossible. The math does not work. But with cooked food, the energy budget changed, and over tens of thousands of generations, the brain grew to fill the space that fire had made available. You are not reading this because humans were smart enough to discover fire. You are reading this because fire made humans smart enough to eventually read. And yet, even that is not the deepest thing fire did to us. There is one more layer that researchers have only recently begun to understand. Sleep. For most of human evolutionary history, sleeping on the ground in the dark was a death sentence. Predators moved at night. You did not sleep deeply if you wanted to survive. But inside a firelit camp, with other humans awake and watching, something changed in the architecture of human sleep itself. Anthropologist David Sampson has studied sleep patterns across multiple hunter-gatherer societies and found something remarkable. Groups around fires do not all sleep at the same time. They stagger. Someone is always at a lighter stage of sleep, someone is always close to waking. The group collectively covers the night without anyone having to stay fully awake. And this pattern, Sampson argues, is why humans sleep so differently from every other primate. We have more REM sleep, more dream sleep, more of the consolidation phase where the brain processes the day's experiences, reinforces memories, and runs the simulations that become creative thought. The safety of firelight gave the human brain permission to go deeper into sleep than it had ever gone before. And in that deeper sleep, something new was happening. The brain was rehearsing, planning, connecting ideas that had never been connected before. The first human dreams vivid enough to be remembered, strange enough to be described, and powerful enough to be shared around a fire the next morning, those dreams became something entirely new. For the first time in human history, people were comparing their inner worlds, discovering that the strange landscapes and impossible events playing out behind their closed eyes were not theirs alone, that the person sitting across the fire had been somewhere similar in the night, that the sleeping mind was producing experiences so consistent, so recurring, and so charged with meaning that they had to be pointing at something real. Every attempt to explain the unexplainable, every story built to make sense of a world that did not yet have science to decode it, traces its origin to what the sleeping human brain did when fire finally gave it enough safety to go deep. So the next time you find yourself staring at a flame for just a second longer than you need to, understand what that pull actually is. It is 400,000 years of memory stored somewhere beneath your conscious mind. It is the part of you that knows, without being told, that the fire is where the story begins. If this made you see something differently, subscribe to Human Archives. We go underneath the surface every single week.